Well, the holidays are approaching. Many of you are going to be headed to the airport to travel for the holidays. Even here at CJ 800, we're running our Home for the Holidays contest. We're trying to bring your loved ones home from around the world. And with that, you head to the airport, and then you've got to deal with all of the chaos that comes at the airport. And it seems like it's getting worse and worse, particularly when it comes to baggage. Some people don't want to check a bag. It seems like everyone is taking too much luggage onto the plane. And some people would even liken what's happening in airports and on airplanes to the Hunger Games. With more on this, let's go to Henry Harteveldt, a travel analyst with Atmosphere Research Group in San Francisco. Henry, welcome to the program.
Hello, Elias. Thank you.
And that Hunger Games quote came from you. So let's start off with that, Henry. Why are you likening what we're seeing in airports and on airplanes to the Hunger Games?
Well, it's all because of the chaos in boarding a plane. It's bad enough that airlines subdivide us into what seems like an endless number of boarding groups. But there's also only so much carry-on space in the overhead bins on the planes. And because airlines charge for checked bags, it's really it's not so great when it comes to getting on the plane. There's this crush of people trying to find space for their bags, and it's like duck, duck, goose. At some point, you're tapped, and you're out of the game. You have to check your bag. It's just not a pleasant way to start a journey.
And you know what? It creates tension. I can feel it sometimes in airplanes. Hopefully I'm actually already sitting down and my luggage is in the overhead right next to my seat. But, the people that are boarding a little bit later, I've seen it. I felt the tension here. I would just imagine that it's not good for anybody. I don't know. Is it good for the airlines for that tension? I don't even understand why it happens.
The tension isn't good for the airlines. The money is. In the U.S., the U.S. carriers earned nearly $7 billion U.S. last year, $6.8 billion to be precise, from checked bag fees in 2022. Worldwide, checked bag fees bring in roughly $29 billion to airlines globally. So financially, it's a boondoggle for airlines. But for us, the traveler, it's terrible. For the airport staff, it's bad. And for the airline cabin crew, it's bad. No one is winning here, really.
So, Henry, let me ask you about this, right? Because Southwest, which, people that take Southwest in the U.S., they love that airline. I hear so many people that rave about it because they do things differently. And they don't charge for checked baggage. And apparently that leads to, boarding times that are a little bit lower. And I know time is money, right? So, why don't airlines say, hey, time is money. If we can get planes boarded faster, we'll make more money at the end of the day.
Well, you're right. In the U.S., Southwest Airlines is the only carrier that does not charge for checked bags. And they are able to turn their planes around. That's the phrase used between the time a plane arrives at an airport and leaves on its next flight, faster than many other airlines. And they credit their open seating policy as part of that, but also free checked bags, because it means fewer people bring on full-size carry-on bags. There's less rush. There's less confusion. It's easier for people to who do have a carry-on bag, stow it, get in their seat, and the airplane goes. Airlines are looking at the bottom line, not the cabin, not the customer, not the crew. And so the comment that I made in an interview a couple of weeks ago now, that airlines should let us check our bags for free, but charge people to bring their carry-on bags, is something that has seemed to get a little bit of traction.
It sounds like sacrilege, Henry, charging for the checked bags.
Well, if it is sacrilege to charge for the carry-on bag right now, because the checked bag environment has been around for 15 years here in the U.S. But what I'm suggesting is that airlines should be re-examining this. The confusion, the chaos, the stress, the added time it takes to board a plane now, because so many people are bringing carry-on bags, could probably all be reduced if airlines said, we'll let you check at least one bag for free. But if you want to bring a bag on and you don't have status, you're going to have to pay for that convenience. And they might even be able to charge more for that carry-on bag fee than they do for the check bag fee, because time is money for us. If we can avoid waiting 15, 20 minutes at the baggage carousel, we might pay more than the $35 or whatever dollars it is that airlines charge to check a bag. In the U.S., the standard check bag fee is around $35.
We're with Henry Harteveldt, travel analyst with Atmosphere Research Group in San Francisco. Now, Henry, yesterday on this program, coincidentally, we had the CEO of Breeze Airlines, and they're just launching flights out of Plattsburgh, which is south of the border. It's an hour away from Montreal, okay? And they're flying from Plattsburgh and from Burlington, Vermont, $41 to go from Plattsburgh to their destinations in Florida. And, I said, okay, $41. And, the price of Canadian airfare is so expensive. And I just wonder, is it the best of times and the worst of times all at the same time? Because, I know people will post photos on social media of flights in the 1970s, and the seats are so huge, and and the meals are amazing, but they were also paying an arm and a leg for that flight. Now you're paying $41. What do you expect, right? Are we trying to get too much out of our $41?
No, but I think it's important to understand that $41 gets you basically the seat and the seatbelt. That is your right to board the plane. But if you want to check your bag, you're going to have to pay for that. I think Breeze does charge a fee to carry on a bag.
Yeah, they do.
If you want food and beverage on the plane, you'll pay for that. You'll pay for other fees that Breeze charges. And by the way, that is the standard model for budget airlines that Breeze uses. Flair in Canada uses it. Spirit, Frontier, Allegiant in the U.S. all do similar things. But you're right. There has been a great democratization of air travel since the industry was deregulated. I grew up flying in the 1970s. I remember what it was like when some airlines had middle seats in economy that folded down if no one was sitting in the center, and you could have this lovely table, the meals, the legroom, all of that. But having also worked for 4 different U.S. airlines earlier in my career and done research and been an analyst now for more than 20 years, I can tell you that in the U.S., in Canada, in Europe, and in most other countries, if we can find a cheaper option to travel, to fly, we will consider that, especially for short to medium haul flights of, call it 4 hours or less.
So, Henry, has the market spoken and said, you know what, to save $5, give me the Hunger Games?
Absolutely. The market has spoken with we have spoken with our wallets for decades since deregulation. In the U.S., it began in 1978. And I can tell you, airlines have tried more legroom. It didn't work because other airlines would charge less. They've tried more and better meals. Didn't work. Other airlines were charging less, and so on. And especially now with the availability of the internet and mobile apps and so on, where it is easier for us to compare airline fares and products, we are more empowered, and most of us are going to choose less expensive options.
Henry, happy travels, and I appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you. Thanks for including me. I appreciate it.
That's Henry Harteveldt, travel analyst with Atmosphere Research Group in San Francisco.